Now, you said a little bit earlier that YMM sold drugs. Have you ever witnessed Lionel Allen sell drugs? No, I did not. You never witnessed Lionel Allen sell drugs? Oh, did I witness Lionel Allen sell it? Yes, I witnessed Lionel Allen sell drugs. What kind of drugs? Crack cocaine. How do you know this? Where were you when he was selling drugs? On the Ave. What quantities of drugs was he selling? Like an 8-ball. Do you know how much he was paid for an 8-ball? $100. Do you know where he got his crack cocaine from? No, not Lionel Allen. How often did you see him selling crack cocaine? Every day. About what time did you start hanging with them and see him selling crack cocaine? What year? Like, we've been around since kids, so they started YMM like maybe, I'm really not sure. Okay. How about Dedrick Keelan? Did you ever see him sell drugs? Yes. What kind? Crack cocaine. How often did you see him selling drugs? Every day. How about Jawan Forsha? Yes. What kind? Crack cocaine. Brian Scott? No. He didn't sell any drugs at all? He sold marijuana. He didn't sell crack cocaine. Okay. How about Delwyn McLaren? Yes, he sold drugs. Do you know who the supplier was for any of the persons you just talked about that sold drugs? Yes. Who is the supplier for Dedrick Keelan? Jeffrey Wilson. Who is Jeffrey Wilson? Who he is? Yes. He was somebody that was at our projects. You witnessed Dedrick Keelan get drugs from Jeffrey Wilson? Yes. Was this once or more than once? Once. Were you selling drugs with them? No, sir. Why not? Because I didn't need to sell drugs. I did hair. You also said that they killed. What did they use to kill? What did they use to kill? Yes. What did they use to kill people? All I seen was on different sets. With what? Guns. Have you seen them with guns? Yes. Have you seen Dedrick Keelan with a gun? Yes. Have you seen Lionel Allen with a gun? Yes. Brian Scott? Yes. Delwyn McLaren? Yes. Jawan Forsha? Yes. Where did you see them with guns? On Martin Luther King. Did they share guns or did you see them with individual guns? They shared guns. Do you know where they kept their guns? Yes. Where? In DeAndre Hill's house. You have seen guns at that location? Yes. Did all the persons you identified have access to those guns? Yes. Did you carry a gun? No. Are you familiar with the name Arthur Mitchell? Yes. Who is Arthur Mitchell? He was a boy. He was on Jackson Street, but he used to be a Melphamine Project. He used to come in the Melphamine Projects and hang with us. Is Arthur Mitchell alive or dead? He's deceased. When was the last time you saw Arthur Mitchell? The day before Mother's Day. Do you know how he died? Yes. How do you know how he died? Who did you learn that from? Who did I learn it from? Yes. Devontae Vance. Tell us about the last day you saw Arthur Mitchell. Where were you? We was on a corner in the Melphamine Projects waiting on the bricks. Who is we? It was me, Devontae Vance, Dedrick Keelan. I don't remember who was out there. Okay, just for point of reference, this is Overt Act 1. So, you all are out in the Melphamine. What happened next? What happened next? Yes. We was on the bricks, and it was time for Arthur and them to go, and they walked all to Martin Luther King. Who is they? I can't remember everyone who was out there. But Devontae and them, and Arthur and them walked to Martin Luther King, and I went inside. We heard the shots from the projects. We ran back outside, and Devontae and them came back in the project. And me and Dominica and Dewana, we had went walk on Jackson by the scene, and Arthur was deceased. He was dead. We came back to the project, and we was just sitting there. Devontae was looking like something was wrong with him, and I asked him, what was wrong? And he was like, nothing. But deep inside, I know he was going to tell me because that was like my best friend. So he finally came out with it that he told Arthur to bend down and pick something up, and he shot Arthur in his head. Did he tell you why he shot Arthur? Yes. Why did he shoot Arthur? Because Arthur robbed a dice game. Of whom? Of who? Him and Troy. Him and Migo. What happened after he told you this? What did you all do after that? We had went to Pinky's. We went and got some chips and cheese. Then we knew we couldn't bring Devontae. He couldn't go by my mama's house because my mama ain't play with no boys. She ain't want no boys in the house. And we knew he couldn't go by his people's house because that was the first place they was going to go. So we put our money together and we went and put him in a hotel. Who all went to the hotel? It was me, Devontae Vance, Triquella Jenkins, James Morris. That's who I remember so far. Tell us what happened. When we got to the hotel? Yes. When we got to the hotel, we paid for the hotel. We went in the hotel for 2 or 3 days, and that was it. The following day, did you have a conversation with anybody about the Arthur Mitchell murder? Did you talk about the murder itself? Yeah, we talked about it. Me and Devontae talked about it. Who else was a part of that conversation? It was me, Devontae, and I think Joanne Forsha. Okay, tell us about the conversation. What was it about? He was just telling us about how he did it and stuff. Like how he told him to bend down and he shot him in his head. What was everyone's demeanor about him telling this story? They was like, you're lying. They was just bucked up, like he was lying. What does bucked up mean? Like they was happy. Like they couldn't believe he committed a murder. Now, did you talk to the police after that? Yes. And what did you tell the police? Did you look at a picture? Yes. I want to show you what's been marked as Government Exhibit 2. I don't think it's admitted. Number 2. Okay. Do you recognize Government Exhibit 2? Oh, I'm sorry. Number 3. I apologize. Wait. Now, look at number 3. I'm sorry. Do you recognize Government Exhibit 3? Yes. Do you recognize your name on here? Yes. Do you recognize that writing? Yes. That's yours? Yes. I move for admission of Government Exhibit 3. Any objection? No objection here, Judge. So ordered. May we publish it, please? Ms. Cobbins, do you recognize this? Tell us what this is. A picture of Devontae Vance. When did you see this? When the detective came to my grandmother's house. So you were identifying him on this picture for the detective? Yes. All right, thank you. Ms. Cobbins, did YMM have any feuds with any other gangs? Yes. Who? The 110ers. Have you ever had any conversations with any YM members about the 110ers? We always used to talk about the 110ers. Do you recall a conversation between you, Alfred Cobbins, Lionel Allen, and Sean Grayson? Yes. For a point of reference, Your Honor, Overt Act 8. Please, tell us about it. We was on Martin Luther King, and they just came back from spinning in. Who was there? Lionel Allen. It was Alfred Cobbins, Lionel Allen. It was the boys who you just said. I'm really not sure. You have to recall and tell me the names again, please. It was me, Lionel Allen, Sean Grayson, Alfred Cobbins, and Okay. You said spinning. What's spinning? Shooting. Tell me what they told you. They was like, we were sitting on Martin Luther King on the porch, and Alfred was like, man, I think they dead around there. I was like, who? And he was like, in the 10th Ward. He didn't say no name or nothing. And then he was like, that stupid ass gun keep jamming. And I didn't pay no attention to him. Did you see a gun when he made that statement? Yes. What kind of gun was it? A 40. Are you familiar with the name Vinnie Smith? Yes. Do you know what happened to Vinnie Smith? Yes. What happened to him? What happened to him? Yes. We was at a party because that's my friend's brother, but her other brother was deceased, Paul. So like his mama give him a party every year, for his birthday or something. And we was there or whatever, and we got a phone call saying that Vinnie was shot up. And we went to the hospital and stuff. We went to the scene and stuff. Who was there when you got the phone call? Me and Shinny Smith. Did anyone else come by there when you all were there? Yes. Who came by? Lionel Allen, Juwan Forsha, and Ivory Dorsey. Did they say anything to you? No. Did you hear them make any statements? Yeah. They just came back. Juwan said that they just came back from spinning. For point of reference, Overt Act 14. Did you later learn why Vinnie Smith was killed? Yes, because Juwan Forsha thought that Vinnie was crossing him with the 10th Ward, but Vinnie didn't even know nobody out of the 10th Ward. He wasn't even familiar with the boys out of the 10th Ward. Who told you that? Who told me that Vinnie was crossing them? Juwan Forsha told me face to face himself that he thought Vinnie was crossing him with the 10th Ward. Are you familiar with the name Desean Hartford? Yes. Do you know what happened to Desean Hartford? Yes. Was he killed? Yes. Where were you when he was killed? Right outside the club. Where was the club? On 2nd and Dry Aids. Who were you with at the club? Me, Shinny Smith, and Tijanika Newman. Tell us what happened. We was inside the club and both of my friends, Shinny Smith and Tijanika Newman, it was hot, so they liked to walk outside. We had walked outside. Well, Shinny was in the club, but Tijanika was out at the car, and I walked outside. Like, I used to be, younger. I used to want to go see where the boys was going, like where Lionel and them going. I used to be right behind them. So as Lionel went out the door, I went out the door. And Baldy told Lionel, make him do what he do. He took the 2 guns from each corner of his side, and he went to shooting it. Well, before he started shooting, he pushed me on the ground. Then he went to shooting him. Now, what happened when he pushed you on the ground? I started bleeding. Where did you start bleeding? On my left hand. Did you have a scar? Yes. Do you still have that scar? Yes. Your Honor, may she publish the scar that she's got? Yes. Do you have a photograph? No, we don't have a photograph. Well, how do we get her to identify it? How would you intend to publish this? I was going to have her show it. Okay, yes, go ahead. If you'd stand up and show the scar. It's right here under the cuff. So that scar on your left arm, for the record, that was done on the night, Desean, of what you just testified about? Yes. For point of reference, that is Overt Act 16. Now, I want to direct your attention to something we're calling Overt Acts 19 and 20. Are you familiar with the name Jacques Variste? Yes. Do you recall having a conversation with Lionel Allen and Jacoby Boyd? Yes. Tell us about that conversation. Well, me and Jacoby Boyd was in a relationship for 2 years, and he called me. Him and Lionel called me and was like that Jacoby was shot. And I kept asking him where he shot at. I'm thinking he shot on the street or something so I could get to the scene. So he said Jacoby was shot and they was bringing him to the hospital. So I hung up the phone and I went to the hospital. And when I got to the hospital, Jacoby was laying on the hospital bed going for surgery. And so they brought another person in, Remo Ronald Thompson. And Jacoby made a statement to him that was like, "You think you're going to live, little?" And I was like, "Kobe." And Kobe went to surgery. He was all right. And he went home. Did you later have a conversation with Jacoby about how he got shot? Yes. Tell us about that. Well, me and Jacoby went home by his mama's house that night. And he was like, "Man, me and Lionel was cutting up." And I'm like, "Y'all was cutting up?" And he was like, "Yeah." He was like, they went round to, the first time they went round Josephine trying to shoot at Bop and Remo, and they made a mistake and shot Bariste. And then Lionel Allen made a mistake and shot Jacoby Boyd. And that's how Jacoby gets to the hospital. Then they kept going on and on. Lionel and Dorsey was left together. They shot at Remo, he said. Then they shot, I don't know his real name. I know his name as Marty. I know his nickname, Terrence Pollard. And who told you this? Jacoby Boyd. Are you familiar with the name Vivian Snyder? Yes. Do you recall where you were the day she was killed? I was sitting on Martin Luther King. Who were you with? Me and Dedrick Keelan. Tell us about that. Well, we used to take these pills called trams, and we went and bought them from, there was $1, so we went and bought 10 of them from Jeffrey Wilson. And we took the trams, and I would get tired, so I went inside. And we both went our little ways. We went inside. The next day, someone come by. I was staying with my cousin, Kill Cobbins, and Hollis Carter. Miss Vivian's son, don't tell us what he told you. What did you do after you spoke with Hollis? After I spoke with Hollis, I got his number. So he told me to tell Dedrick, don't tell me what he told you. Just tell us what you did after you spoke to Hollis. 3 hours later, I met Dedrick. It was like 3 hours later. I met Dedrick Keelan on Martin Luther King, and I gave him the phone number. And he asked me whose number it was. And he said, I told him it was Hollis Carter's. And he was like, "Man, I was tripping off them trams last night, and I made a mistake and killed Miss Snyder." And he was like, he's not calling her. I would like to talk to you about a conversation in the early morning hours of May 6, 2013 with Jacoby Boyd. Do you remember that? No. Are you familiar with the club called Encore? Oh, yes, I remember that day. Do you remember having a conversation with Jacoby Boyd about Encore? Yes. Where were you that morning? That morning? At my mom's house. Tell us about the conversation. Well, I was at my mom's house. She had went to work, and me and Jacoby, we was sitting on the bed and we was talking. And let me stop you there. I'm talking. Did you have a conversation with Jacoby Boyd after he left Encore? Yes. Tell us about that. The conversation? Yes. Oh, okay. I was on the phone with Jacoby Boyd after he left Encore. He told me that he was going to drop Lionel Allen off by his girlfriend's house. So I heard the gunshots through like my mama. I'm skipping stuff. My mama don't like her air to be on. She used to fuss around me about her air conditioner, so I cut her air off and I put the window up. And my mama stayed on Carrollton, and the Carrollton Bridge is right next to my mama's house. So as me and Jacoby are on the phone, he put the phone down, but I hear the gunshots. So I'm like I'm tripping. And I hear the gunshots through the phone. Then I'm like, no. Then I hear it through the window. I'm like, no, So the phone hung up. And Jacoby called me back maybe a few minutes afterwards. And he let me know. He was like, open the door. He was like, leave the door open. I'm going to come over there. And I was like, okay. What happened when he came over? Did you all talk about what had happened, what you had heard? Yeah. When he came over there, we was inside or whatever, and I was like, I didn't ask him or anything. I was like, just regular with him. But the next day, I was like, Kobe, I heard them gunshots. I heard them gunshots through that phone. And Kobe kept trying to brush me off, but Like later, he came out and he told me that him and Lionel Allen and Ivory Dorsey killed Streets on the bridge. Miss Cobbins, have you and I met in preparation for your testimony today? Yes. Did I in any way tell you what to say? No, sir. All right. Thank you, Miss Cobbins.